Hey everybody, Jason here. So, it's been a pretty crazy couple of days. I know I've posted a few videos talking about the current state of a lot of stuff, but mostly role-playing games. How the current state of the world, I guess, is I would say affecting role-playing games, but I'm going to say infecting role-playing games because it's bad. It's really bad. So bad, in fact, that Wizards of the Coast, makers of the game Who Shall Not Be Named, if I can remember to keep the words out of my mouth, I'll try not to ever say the game's name again, unless I'm referring to an older edition, a TSR edition. But Wizards has decided not only to go fully woke, they've taken wokeness to a level that I've never seen before in this hobby. I'm sure most of you by now have seen their press release, and as articulate as I can be once in a while, at this current moment, I don't think there's any way for me to truly express how I feel about that. Other than to say, rest in peace. Not only are they going forward, are they, like I said, going full woke, they're now attempting to rewrite history. They're going back. As far as I know, they're only going back and rewriting history on 5th edition, and they're censoring. I'm not going to say editing because that's not what it is. They're censoring their old 5th edition, everything that they've written so far for 5th edition, and putting in their identity politics and their SJW nonsense, and any future printings. I'm guessing that includes PDFs of certain things, probably everything, and they're just going full woke, and I can't wait till they go full broke. Unfortunately, I don't think they're gonna go broke, because the world is so full of so many social justice warriors and these little pea-brained morons that can't think for themselves and realize that not everything is bad and not everything is meant to cause offense, and you really only find offense where you're looking for it when it comes to things like this. A game that's existed for over 40 years, coming up on 50 years now, that, until now, these things have never been a problem. And they've never been a problem because the very nature of what the game is prevents it from being a problem. It's not a problem with the game, it's a problem with the players. Because everything in that game is fully intended to be customizable to your game, your play style, your table, your group of friends, your world. So to go back and rewrite things to match modern day moronity. I'm not going to say morality, because that's not what it is. It's not about morals. It's about who can virtue signal the brightest and the loudest, who can pander the most to someone. It's a competition. So they're going back and rewriting, re-editing, censoring their old games, and going forward, they are part of the woke mafia, which I'm sure includes fake outragers and members of the alphabet mafia also. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, unfortunately, they're going woke, but they're not going to go broke. There are too many of these weirdos out there. There's too many weirdos out there that are buying into their nonsense. And it's like a fucking cult. That's what it is. It's a fucking cult. These SJWs are a fucking cult that have taken the world by storm. And everybody's massive desire to be a part of something. They created something that does more harm than good. It divides us more than it brings us together. Wizards claims right off the bat that they've been listening to us. They've been listening to us, and what we want is more diversity and inclusion and social justice, and we want things to be woke. We want things to be woke so we can go broke by giving them our money. That's not really what we want. Not most of us, not all of us. That's not all of us. If you were listening, you would see, regardless of who you feel is, in the right or in the wrong, you'll see that there's so much argument about this. There's so many people happy about it, so many people unhappy about it. That it's dividing us rather than bringing us together. And that's not what you guys want. That is what they want. They don't give a fuck. Wizards doesn't give a fuck about us. They give a fuck about pandering and looking good in someone else's eyes, the moral police's eyes. So they're not listening really to anybody. And here's the thing, all the stuff that they're doing isn't bringing new players to the table. D&D, from its very beginnings, back in 74, I think, or even earlier, chainmail and all that stuff, may have not had a very diverse culture at the table to begin with in its origins, which is neither here or there. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It just is what it is. It just happened to be that the circle of friends and people who created the game didn't have anybody openly, anyway, at the table that was different. Gay, trans, bi, whatever. There may not have been any non-white nerdy dudes. I don't know about that. As far as I know, they were all nerdy white dudes. I could be wrong about that. Even if that was the case, okay, who cares? It just happened to be that's what the social circle at the time was. And they created their game. And from the get-go, Gary and Dave have always said, hey man, it's your game, make it what you want it to be. So if you were at the table and one of your best friends was, you know, in the closet, gay or whatever, which is dumb, nobody should ever have to hide. I get why people do. I understand why they do. It's unfortunate. I don't think anybody should ever have to hide who they are, whether it's their sexuality or their nerd hobby, or whatever. But that was the reality of it back then. I get it. Thankfully, that's not the reality of it today. It's much more accepted, which is great. But say one of your best friends finally came out to you guys, and assuming you were decent people, you accepted them for who they were, and they kept playing D&D with you guys. And guess what? If you felt the desire to, even the person who may have come out, maybe they were like, well, I love the game as it is. I don't necessarily need to have, you know, bisexual elves or gay orcs or whatever. They're like, it's a fictional world. I really don't care. I'm not playing the game to see myself. I'm playing the game to play somebody who's not me, which is why I play, which is why most of us play. So that's another reason why bringing this whole identity politics nonsense into the game is such a mistake. But I'm digressing. Then you made the game into your own thing, and you brought those elements into the game because you've been told from the jump that, hey, it's your game, make it what you want. Any rules you don't like, don't use them. Any rules you think of that you like, use them. Make the world what you want it to be. There was no world to begin with. If you go back and look at the original 3 Brown books, there was no world. You had to create everything from scratch. You had to create everything from scratch. There was no set world. So if you wanted gay, trans, bi, whatever, gender swapping, whatever the case may be, it was there to begin with because it never said that it couldn't be. There was no world. It was a blank slate of dice rules that you built your world around, which was what drew so many people to it. That's what drew people to it. Anybody could play a dice game. Anybody could play Monopoly or Scrabble or fucking Tenzi or something. Anybody could play dice games with math. But giving you the power and the artistic freedom and the ability to create your world around these mechanics was what drew people to D&D. You could be whatever you wanted to be. So that's always been there. But with Wizards going full woke now, I'm out. I'm saying goodbye to 5th edition of the world's worst role-playing game, which for me personally is kind of a blessing in disguise. Anybody who's been watching this channel knows that I've been looking to get out of 5th edition for a long time. And this is it. This is my out, if you will. It's unfortunate. I do enjoy playing the game with my friends. We have a good time when we play it. I don't, everybody knows how I feel about the power gaming aspect of it, of this edition, which really started with 3rd edition, in my opinion. Maybe 2nd edition if you look at all the different kits and things like that were in all the players' handbooks, the class books and all that stuff, the splat books. But again, I'm digressing. But this is it. I don't have to give these fools any more of my money. Like I said, it's not going to hurt them. It's not going to hurt them at all. So it's not like I'm sticking it to them. I know that. I'm not a fool enough to think that I'm hurting them in any way. I know that I'm not. Wizards is going to do just fine. and they're going to keep going down the woke path, and they'll be just fine with their neckbeards and their mafia and their fucking Rainbow Brigade, and 6th edition will be... There's actually no reason to make 6th edition because they're already transforming 5th edition into what everybody wants it to be. So I say what everybody wants it to be with air quotes. But yeah, there are so many alternatives to D&D, especially even in the D20 derived genre of game, that I'm not missing out on anything. There's a lot of really good content creators out there. There's a lot of really, really good games out there. Castles and Crusades, ICRPG, everything. Survive This Fantasy. Eric is working on it over at Bloat Games, is making some awesome stuff. And if any of these other companies decide to go woke, I'll move on to the next one. I really don't care. When the well runs dry, if it runs dry, I'll have older editions to fall back on. I can create my own games. We can create our own games. So I'm saying goodbye to the game that shall not be named. And just like when I said goodbye to Star Wars after it went fully fucking woke also, it hurt at first, but after a while I realized I wasn't shutting a door. I was actually opening a door to everything else that was out there. With Star Wars, I was actually shutting the door on the sequel trilogy, which wasn't a whole lot of content, and opening the door back up to everything else that existed before it, that they tried to shut the door on. So with Wizards, I'm shutting the door on Wizards. There's a possibility I may still give Wizards money in the future, and that would be by going on to Drive-Thru RPG and ordering some older products from the TSR era. Assuming none of those also get censored. But that would be the only way that Wizards ever gets my money. Anyway, I'm at work. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you got this far, if you didn't, I know I don't blame you. I know my opinions are not the most popular. They're wildly varied from a lot of people currently in the game. A lot of you out there are woke. I love you anyway. It's okay. Anyway, take care. Be safe out there. Try not to get the COVID. Try not to get any riots or looting or any of that crazy stuff. Don't virtue signal. Don't pander. Don't go woke. If you're already woke, don't go any further woke. Try to reel it back in a little bit. Come back down to earth. You're not going to fall off the sides. It's not flat. It'll be okay. Anyway, I'll see y'all later. Peace.